Good morning on a cold November morning in Ontario. Thought I'd spend a couple of minutes just talking about a few considerations you might want to think about as the weather turns colder. The past few years, I have gotten out more in the cold weather, including January, February, but it's definitely a lot less than I do in the summer. But I thought I'd share a few thoughts and considerations around some things you might want to do, some practical tips as well as some sort of philosophical tips. Well, my first consideration is a bit of a no-brainer. That's really about the bike. Now, I've gone down to one bike, and that was on purpose. I found my Kona is a good all-around bike. It's robust, it's a steel bike, and I can use it all around. So I haven't done a lot other than I tend to add the rear fender. I don't like putting something permanent on there. I was looking for a front fender. I had one and it fell off, it got ripped off, so I'm looking for another one. And then, other than that, it's mainly the tire choice. And I have my WT Vulpine 36. It's got a nice tread that should be able to handle almost any terrain, including some light snow if I get into it. I did a review on the WTB Vulpine on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. So the next thing would be, in terms of preparation, but also another obvious one is layering. I've played around with that a bit over the years, and of course it depends on how cold it gets and how wet it gets. So it's a good idea to, as you do this more, to play around, and after some time you'll get a nice selection of things you can use. I've actually today just gone with some sweatpants, but I do have some bibs. I have boot covers as well. I have a thin pair for more rain and some that are a bit more insulated when it gets colder. I haven't got to the point where I'm going so cold that I want to get like insulated dedicated boots or whatever, but certainly people that are more robust than me might do that. I have 3 different gloves. I have just a little more fleecy insulated pair, I have a light pair, and then I have some Pearl Izumi crab mitts that are quite warm when it gets really cold, like below 0. And a bit of a tip I found out just a while ago, I often do like to stop on my bike rides at a cafe, take a break. But often I found, even if it's cold, you're going to get that bottom layer is going to sweat. So that feels terrible when you get back on the bike and you're wet. So today I've got packed in another bottom layer that when I get to the cafe, if I'm sweating, I can swap that out and makes you much more comfortable when you get going again. One thing I found is helpful as the weather gets cold. Now, keep in mind, I'm a recreational cyclist, but it's just backing off. It's definitely harder when the weather gets colder. If you're trying to maintain your distances and speeds like you did in your prime season, which I found out the last couple of winters is going to be very tough. And last year was the first time I actually cycled with a heart rate monitor, which I have built into my Garmin Vivo Active watch. And I found there's a few times I got home and it was up over 140, 150, was probably into, a zone I don't want to be in the cold weather. Add to that, it's definitely harder to breathe in the cold weather. Not sure if it was just me or COVID lungs, but it's definitely harder to breathe. So having said that, make sure you take that into consideration, back off. So my next consideration would be to consider indoor cycling. Now don't get me wrong, I enjoy being outside more, even if the weather turns cold, than I do indoor cycling. But I experimented with it. I bought a direct drive indoor trainer, had about a year, used it a few months, and a combination of, I kind of just found it boring after a while. Also, I think they're really good if you're a competitive cyclist. you really push yourself on those, and there's other people, especially on Zwift, there's thousands of people cycling. You do get into it and motivated. So they definitely have a place. And for me, not being overly mechanical, trying 3 different bikes, cassettes, noise, I just found it a hassle. So I'm not using anything other than just a recumbent bike up my gym the odd time. Not saying I won't get back into it, but if I do, I might go to a spin class, or I might consider getting something a bit simpler, like a spin bike where you just hop on it and away you go. Some of my final considerations would be to embrace it, or maybe don't. There's nothing wrong with taking a break from cycling. If you really find the cold weather is just too miserable or too hard on you, then take a break from it. Find other things you enjoy, or consider the indoor option. Let me know if you have any tips or tricks, any comments you want to add. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Take care.